Shyway, what are you doing making a video for new Halo players in 2024? The game is dead, bro. Let it die. Right. Yeah, I can debate this.
But remember, honey, look at this. Right now, they can't do anything if we can't get everything out of the wall. If we're gonna break everything down.
I'm not breaking anything down. I'm just letting you know you cannot have cupcakes for dinner.
Yes, the state of the game is not good. There's no arguing that. But somehow I still enjoy Halo's gameplay. I think there's nothing quite like it, and I love teaching it. So maybe I'm delusional because we are going to learn from the ground up today. We'll break it down a Halo player that just got out of silver. I know him personally. He told me I could tear him apart. So we're going to commentate through his Streets Slayer gameplay, expose all the common mistakes he's making at a beginner level, but then share examples of how to fix them at the highest level of play. So if you're a new player, you'll see habits that are relatable, but the examples I'll use will be useful for players Onyx and beyond. That's the objective anyway. If you want me to break down your gameplay, keep dropping your gamer tags in the comments below. That's where I go for inspiration. Or sign up for coaching with me one-on-one in the video description. Okay, Street Slayer, life number 1. Let's see what he does. So he's going to slide down the staircase, head to tires. Probably could have skipped that clamber. Going to perch up on tires window here. Camo's not up for 20 seconds, right? So I'm not really sure where he's looking, but I think he got some info that there's players on Cafe. He's approaching Cafe alone right now. His teammates are behind him. You can see the icons. So he's alone for this. You can hear somebody out in front of him. Okay, he's going to get the shoddy. This is kind of risky. There's 3 dead, but they're spawning in C. The enemy spawning in C is not looking at C. Camo's coming up. Still not looking at C. We got the shoddy out. We're looking at our teammates for some reason. Shoddy out, center map, grabbing camo, low shields. What do you expect? A lot we could talk about here. One thing I often notice at this level of play is just the lack of decisiveness off the opening strat. You should have a game plan off the opening. Look at this. Where are we going? Right? We going left? We going right? Right? There's just an indecision. Like they're not sure exactly what their opening strat will be, what lane they're going to choose. So have that planned in your mind before the game even starts, right? I want to push out B. I know where I want to look. I know where I want to curb slide, where I want to nade, etc. You should have some sort of a game plan. I also think it's important that we get the Shroud off the opening so we can use Shroud for the camo later. At least one player you'd ideally want coming Cafe side of the map here. And of course, in solo queue, sometimes you can't control where players go, so that's fine. The biggest thing is to just make sure you're decisive with your strat, you're intentional, and you're aware enough to know whether or not teammates are with you. Make sure you skip this clamber. Jump, hold, crouch, skip this clamber, don't waste time. Well, he sits here. Camo's not coming up for 20 seconds. It's a very low likelihood somebody's just going to fly out into the open exposed center of the map here. His reticle needs to be somewhere anticipating actual players, like where they're going to go. I recommend looking right at the spike nades and waiting, right? Not only can he see if somebody comes down through the perimeter of the map, but if he times a shot perfectly, he could nade shot and damage both these players, and that could be a free cleanup right off the opening. So just being more intentional with this. And then he'd also notice if they run by, and he can use that for his awareness later. I think maybe he's aware of it. Making sure that you know that you're separate from your team here and you're alone as you push up in Cafe. And make sure you have good reticle placement as well. You see his reticle coming in here. It's kind of late on the turn, so if somebody's waiting for him on vending machine, they're already shooting him before he's fully turned in. You can notice he does a lot of unnecessary extra movement. Why are we looking at the wall here? Your reticle should only ever be exactly where you anticipate the target and not looking at the shoddy as well. He turns to look at shoddy, right? Like, you can grab shoddy while looking in this location the entire time. There should be no deviation in the reticle. You should be focused on this fight and pre-nading before you get in there too, because you can hear this player shooting. Throw a bank nade off the floor in any situation where you think there might be a player on the other side, especially if you saw it coming in through Cafe. You should be throwing pre-nades to lead yourself comfortably into the fight. It also gives you time to do things like pick up the shoddy and figure out what's going on with these team fights. We know there's a weak player here. He full commits to it, wraps around the corner, exposing himself to a lot of very dangerous sight lines. Off the opening strat, we know that the enemy's spawning in C. We know we have no teammates in C. We got a teammate over on B rail. We got one beside us. Technically, both C and A are open, unsafe space for enemy spawns. We don't know 100% which side they're going to spawn on yet, but because we don't know, we can't fly out in the courtyard and not expect to get shot in the back, right? So you'd have to challenge wide and then sit at the staircase if you want to get involved in this fight. So at least you give yourself time to figure out where the rest of the gunfight is coming from. Now we're mid, right? Now we got to use info like grenades to figure out, okay, the enemy is in C. This is where you'd switch to your bandit, ideally, and ideally get out of here. I'd do this by jumping and backing into the corner off the fin so that I can hold my reticle placement at the stairs the whole time and jump, skip my clamber into a vending machine. If you hug into that back wall, you're always going to land on this fin. It's a nice, precise, and useful jump to get out of a tight chokehold here. But we can't be looking back at our team. I think, if anything, our team here is a great indication that they are all behind us, right? Our teammate over here spawned on A side of the map. So we're back facing the enemy. And you can tell the panic is definitely setting in. We're sprinting around. We're entering center map. We're going for camo with shoddy out. Enemies across the map here, right? Nothing we can do. So just be patient. Figure out where they're coming from and stop sprinting. Just set your reticle. Throw your nades. You should never die with your nades still in your pocket. That's a lot of wasted resource. So we should be nading before we come out to camo. If we're going to come out to camo, then at least use the bandit and shoot your way out to camo so you can do so. And at least deal some damage for your team to pick up off of. But just running out to open space with no intention of shooting, that's a recipe for death. And while you're dead, you're still an active participant in the game here, right? So cycle between your teammates' cameras. Make sure that we know whether or not we picked up that camo and the shotgun so that you can use that info later. Don't put your controller down. This player seems to have his controller down. We're running away from the action off a spawn here, bumping into walls. Teammates are dead in front of us, so this is risky. We're challenging multiple here. We could get backsmacked. We could get meleeed for free. We are fortunate. We're panicking. What's happening? Oh, my God. Oh, my. Teammate, help us. Teammate helps us. Okay, we got one fighting in PD. Our teammate needs help in PD. Teammate died in PD. Don't do it. Oh, no. Don't do it. Jumping out center. Clearly reaching into a bag of Cheetos between lives here, right? He's got his controller like down. You should always be ready to shoot off spawn, especially if you spawn in caution. If you spawn here, there's a high likelihood the enemy's in cafe. So you should have your reticle at head level. You should be ready to shoot and descope your way to the safety of PD. Shoot to the escape, not run through it and take the damage on the way. Pay attention to your teammates while you're escaping. What is happening right now, right? One of them died. One of them is fighting in A. We know they were cafe. We got that insight. When we come through here, reticle placed, ready for a fight. Look at the reticle. Swiping around the wall, coming out. We're still looking at wall, right? By the time our body is exposed, we're ready. Head level, set. And you've got two like angles in your mind. You've got this one, and you've got the upper window ready to go as well. You know what it feels like to hit the shot in these locations, and you're paying attention to your teammates and then positioning yourself accordingly. Everything off of spawn is about awareness and positioning in Halo. When we have the awareness of the fact that our teammates are dead in A, then we have to position ourselves in a way that doesn't kill us for free. We know we're going to get overwhelmed if we just run straight into A here. There's definitely multiple enemies. Play it in such a way that gives us an easy exit. If we are going to play back A, then you got to sit on the planter and jump between the planter to the window, throw your nade out here, and just get ready to exit this situation, which is going to be tough to live in now that we're this committed. Being intentional with every nade, right? Notice how they throw it at the back wall. Bank nades off the floor. The fastest way to get an explosion in close quarters. I think this player has a habit of throwing a nade and jumping at the same time. Two committed animations that you're doing together at the same time. Try to notice if you have this habit, right? If you throw a nade, you can't shoot. If you're aerial, like airborne, you can be shot for free. You are the freest kill in the world when you do this. Look at his reticle, too. Every time you jump, you have to very slightly vertically position your reticle to readjust to head level. And he's not doing that in this moment. So he's like up in the air, and he's falling down. And at no point are we actually ready for a shot. And then we're panicking here once again, right? Pulling out all the stops. He's crouching. He's shooting at full range of speed. He's mailing. He's just get it all, make him die, right? Just putting it all out there. Calm down. Take your time, right? You have a few different good options to kill this guy. As he runs by, if you just let him go by, you could nade shot him. You could bank a nade off the floor. You could very quickly sprint and get a melee lunge into a back smack. You could play for a 3-shot beatdown. Only secure 3 shots. No crouching, no fancy strafing. Just hit 3 shots. And pace yourself as you do it. Take your time, right? You got more time than you think you do. 1, 2, 3. And then once you've hit 3, only think about the melee to finish off the kill. Obviously, he could melee you back and you might trade it. Point being is like, just take your time. Don't try to overstrafe, to crouch, to pull out all the fanciness. Just do what you need to do to get the kill, so that we don't get mixed up in our inputs and we're kind of flailing all over the place and we get the help of a teammate. Even though it's crazy here and we're one shot, we're reloading, this is where you pay attention to your team once again. We got a moment to breathe. We got one on our right-hand side. We got one on our left. This guy's in a fight. There's an exclamation point above his head. There's a ping that says action here, right? So you're in the right spot. Just peek and help your teammate. walk out, peek. Your teammate this is a free kill, right? That's a one shot we could have killed there. His teammate's coming up the staircase. Once again, another reason to be on this side to complement this push up on A. Now we're kind of stacking the same lane, and we're not going to get the complementary sight lines. We're just in the same place. And then diving out without... This is positioning 101. This is a rookie mistake in Halo, right? Never jump off high ground without looking before you leap or knowing exactly what you're about to get into. You're using your teammates to understand where the enemy is coming from and how the fight's going to go down, right? We know that there's at least one in PD, and we know that based off the location of this guy, the rest of them are likely coming from B side of the map. So we got to plan this out accordingly. Like, you got to, if you are going to come up to A, you're exposing yourself to tires and planter. So you have to play this in a way that's considerate of those angles. You can throw some nades and open up some shots here and maybe bait those other guys to get into the equation and be ready to back out the moment that happens. You got to know in your mind that that's going to happen, right? So ideally, before all of this happened, we were just playing the left lane, right? Isolated fights on the perimeter versus coming into the center of the action, and now we risk, death from all directions. Okay, let's try this again. Spawn in driveway here. Teammate on the right. We got an enemy out front. Nice patient shots. Well done. Okay, reloading. I don't like how we crossed the street like that. We didn't pick up the stalker. Hugging the perimeter here on B. This is good. We got a player in tires. Okay, we got him one shot. Leave the nade. There could be more on PD as we play out the perimeter here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Chill. He got a little too excited. Got to give some credit for the first kill. He did hit his shots nicely. The way he's sprinting in here, though, is not ideal. See how we're still sprinting? We're still sprinting. And then finally we shoot, right? So take the information from your teammate on your right-hand side to know the fight's going to be there, and then stop sprinting now. Basically, you should walk in, or you can just be more ready to shoot out of sprint, if anything, right? Just making sure that you're super ready to react and snap on this guy as early as possible. The moment we figure out where he is, we're playing tight to our geometry, so that we can easily avoid any other potential enemies behind him, right? Off every spawn, where is our team? Where do we anticipate the enemy being? We got one in C, we got one on our right, and then one dead in front of us. So that tells us that the entire other side of the map is just unknown, unsafe space where enemies could be. So while we're killing this player, we have to be aware of all the other high priority angles in this situation. Those are coming out of caution from PD, the other side, if they're coming out from down low, the heaven ledge, and then tires. All four of those potential angles are areas that we are in our mind ready to snap to if we need to, especially heaven ledge, which I find, players like to go up to and challenge from, and there he is right now, right? So mentally, you should be prepared to see heaven before any of this happens, and then you can snap on it later. Ideally, his reticle's like already going straight to it afterwards. And the way that he turns here, right? We're reloading, and then we run back facing, like, if anybody comes out, you're taking free damage for this. We don't know where these guys are, but they could be over on this side. So you have to back up a bit, slide, and then get the info as you slide out, grab the stalker, and then sure, play out perimeter. That's ideal, especially if a teammate that joins you. I think he has a teammate that comes up with him. This is perfect. This is good. He sort of like crouches, but we hit our shots here. That's fine. Careful walking out because we still don't know what's going on this side of the map here. They could be coming out from caution. So do everything that you're doing. Hugging from the perimeter, cutting the sight lines and isolating this fight, and then trying to get that info. Listen for pings and for information that tells you that there's players on your right-hand side. We can kill this guy from here. By the way, you can very safely execute this target from here. You still have a nade that you can throw from this location. Make sure we're using all our utility before we die. And make sure you're aware of all the ways you could be challenged playing from this area as well. Yes, there could be players on caution corner or the one directly in front, but also tires and all the way through to cafe. This will often happen. You'll get crossed from here as well. So you got to play in a way that's considerate of all this unknown information so you can back out, cut the sight line quickly and safely. So you can walk up to about here, get the kill, ideally throw some sort of a nade, bait these guys forward, and wait for this guy. Like pay attention. What's he doing? He's currently not engaged, right? So when he comes up the stairs, then you can afford to step out a little bit more aggressively and the timing works more in your favor. This is just way too rushed, right? Way too tunneled on this one player. I'll throw a little Alan Watts at you. It's a principle called Wu Wei. It means don't force anything. Just go with the tide, let the play develop, let the action come to you. Wu Wei is the way of the Dao and the way of the Shy. And that goes for Halo and life. But that's all I got for this one. If I could give one takeaway to this student, I would say jump on Academy and practice just reticle placement. Turn the enemy outlines on so you can see bots through the walls. Just keep your reticle at head level and just walk. No sprinting. Make sure you're tight around the corners. Make sure you're aware of the angles you're coming into. This is such an important fundamental mechanic that I think players from Gold up to diamond, get wrong. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I offer coaching in the video description. I'm confident I can build just about anyone up to an Onyx level. And if you have questions, ask me in the comments. You can also support me on Patreon. This is the best way to support the channel, and I'd appreciate it because it helps me continue making these videos. I have extra coaching content there, and you can come play some social Halo with me and ask me anything. And if you want more content like this video right beside me, this is the way.